the night time. Ooh, it's the right time to be with the one you love. Ooh, yeah. Don't you know, baby? Night time to be with the one you love. You know who I'm thinking of. Night time is the time to be with the one you love. Ooh, yeah. Say now, baby, my mother died and my father, well, he broke down and cried. Ooh, baby, yeah, when I come home, baby, I want to hold you in my arms. You know that the night of time, ooh, is the time to be with the one you love. You know who I'm thinking of.
Hi, I'm DeMers from Denver, Colorado, and this is video 4 of How to Dance Drag Blues on Connection. Creating an instructional video on connection has been rewarding, but challenging, because connection is a concept so meaningful and valuable to so many people. This is evident in the survey results of dancers at my dance studio, Overstreet Dance Gallery in Littleton, Colorado, where 85% said the #1 reason why they love partner dancing is partner connection. In developing goals for this video, I feel that it's necessary to keep these feelings for connection in mind. The primary goal is to present my connection framework in a neutral manner, in a way that doesn't tell one person that what they do is wrong, but rather validates what they do well, and then offers enriching ideas for expanding the use of connection elements. Another goal is to teach dancers the importance of seeing, teaching, and problem-solving connection as contextualized, meaning some concepts apply to some situations and others don't. I will define connection through the lens of the values of a particular dance, which for the sake of this video, I'll simplify to its history and culture, movement, musicality, and then connection. I'll ask individuals to recognize the assumptions that they may make about dancing and why, and how they may change as we experiment with artistry and dance. Assumptions help us to maintain certain dance style aesthetics, as well as help us to increase efficiency and effectiveness of executing ideas, and sometimes they don't help at all. Let's use an example of a connection assumption that some dancers have learned: followers lag. Some followers are taught to lag behind the leader, or go slower, and others to step in sync. In this example, neither is necessarily correct, and both lead to different movement aesthetics and execution. These two basic assumptions for followers change the lens in which they approach connection, and perhaps how open they might consider other connection ideas. I hope this video empowers dancers with choices in how they intentionally and artistically interact and communicate, to allow them to reflect on various connection elements and how to increase their ability to express ideas efficiently and effectively, and to know that no matter what type of connection one has, they can communicate. This video is structured through the lens of the hierarchy of creating partner connection, a framework I made to organize how one connects. Topics covered will be frame matching and delta p-10, roles of leader and follower stylization and expression. Frame matching is a codified theory of partner dance connection. It is the act of creating, maintaining, or changing tension between partners with posture and tone in order to lead and follow energy and direction. Delta p-10 explains frame matching and stands for changes in posture, tone, tension, energy, and direction of energy. Because frame matching is such an elaborate framework of connection, this video is 2 hours long with quite a bit of talking, but also make sure that you practice. You'll notice that we don't do drag blues until halfway through. Each concept we've isolated so we can practice it specifically. And most of the concepts can apply to any dance style. So enjoy and let me know what you think. In this video, this is my wonderful co-instructor, Campbell Miller.
Hello.
Campbell, say something about yourself.
I currently live in Austin, Texas, and I love talking about connection.
She's the best partner to teach connection to you. Okay, so when as you heard in the intro, we talked. I mentioned that how we approach connection differs from person to person and from dance to dance. Mainly the reason is each dance takes on different values. And so if, for example, Campbell and I shake hands, and every time Campbell squeezes my hand, I have to fall down, right? Maybe this is a value in our community, right? That will drive how we connect with each other. So we're shaking hands. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm down. Okay. So it's really important to understand that what we present today is a general framework, but it does not teach us specific dance styles. It does not teach us how to move our bodies. Within each of the dances, our movement is what creates connection, right? Connection is a conversation of movement. And through the signals that we teach you today, through the hierarchy of creating connection and through frame matching, we hope that you'll be able to expand your idea of how we can connect or enrich what you're already doing. So firstly, let's go over the hierarchy of creating connection. You can find the hierarchy of creating connection at my website, www.jovenel.com. You can just go download it. It's free. It's one of our passions to share this information with you. So please go find it as you're learning this video. The hierarchy of creating connection has 4 levels in which we create connection from the bottom to the top. Now, it doesn't mean that the top is the pinnacle of connection and this is what we must always do. Really, it's the building blocks in order to reach the top. And so, number 1, level 1, is dancing as a solo dancer and with a partner, since we're going to partner dance. So we might have visual connection. We might do some things that are the same. We might do things that are different. Okay? And as a solo dancer, if I have signed up to be the leader and Campbell, my follower, I am not driving her movement at level 1. She is in charge of her movement. And so she can take the space, she can initiate ideas, she can look at me and engage me in this solo dance conversation. So here's just a little bit of what we can do as individual dancers without connection, but being that solo movement is the basis of everything that we do. We'll do it in blues. So here we go. So we're dancing together, solo 1.
So things within level 1, they're sort of almost mini levels within level 1, but really Joe and I can completely independently decide what we're doing in our own bodies. We can notice what the other person is doing and copy all or part of their ideas. We can also play with how we're using the space, right? So I can move toward Joe and then he can make the decision to move away from me, right? Or I can move toward Joe and he can make the decision to move toward me. That creates different dynamics and we can play these games with each other through the solo connection.
Now, remember, it's important to know that in the hierarchy of creating connection, that I might begin the dance as a leader, and my partner my follower, but at level 1, the role of leader-follower does not necessarily apply. Campbell's ideas are just as important as my ideas, right? So watch this. I'm going to let Campbell initiate the dance and move across the space, and I'm going to dance with her, even though I signed up in this dance to be the leader. So here we go, Campbell. Go for it. Hey, nice. Like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so level 2 of the hierarchy of creating connection. Level 2 is to have contact with our partner. Now, it's important to distinguish, or I should say differentiate, the difference between contact and communication. Now, we're teaching here physical contact as a medium of partner communication, to create the partner communication. Now, just because we have contact doesn't necessarily mean that I'm communicating, right? So what level 2 says is that in order to create connection, partner connection, we firstly need that contact. Mm-hmm. But at level 2, we're still individual dancers. Mm-hmm. I might have signed up to be the leader, but I'm not going to drive Campbell's movement, right? Campbell at level 2 is still in charge of her movement. So we're going to play a game here to practice this, and I'll let Campbell explain it.
Okay, so we call this game the fly, and Joe's going to start by being a fly, landing somewhere on my body, maybe once, maybe there are 2 flies, okay? And I'm going to be a solo dancer that completely moves through space without being affected by the fly. Yeah, there's one idea. Or maybe I move this way and Joe continues to stay connected with contact, right? But I'm just exploring my own movement and not being influenced by all of that contact.
Now, as the fly, in this game, the fly and the dancer, no dancing yet, at the beginning of this exercise. My job is to move with my partner through space, to maintain contact, but not to inhibit my partner and not to leave my partner. Okay, and throughout this exercise, I can change positions. So I'll try different positions, and I'll get funny too. So yeah. I'm going to provide some challenge to Campbell. Campbell has to dance through me, right? As if I'm just a fly landing on her skin. So here we go, Campbell.
So that means that if I want to jam out with my arms, I'm going to jam them here, right? Oh, he's got my leg, but I'm not going to let it affect my choice. So there's a little challenge to not be affected and let myself be my own independent dancer without Joe's contact inhibiting or starting to communicate something. So the next step we're going to add in then is the fly will also move, okay? But since we're staying within this level 2 of the hierarchy, the fly is going to be moving independently from the original dancer, which means Joe is going to try and make decisions that are not copying what my movement is doing.
So for example, if Campbell's doing a fishtail, and I start doing a fishtail, that moves up to level 3 in the hierarchy. Okay? Level 3 is matching, right? Having moments of copying. So what we want to do here at level 2, to let you practice the best that you can, is I'm still the fly. I'm going to change positions around my partner, but I have to dance solo as an individual, not doing the same thing. And it's going to be very difficult. We might even do the same thing, but we're not supposed to. So here we go, Campbell. Here we go.
We'll start at the same place here. Okay? I make a different choice. Oh, my fly went away.
Go ahead.
Where did my fly go? Okay, so I'm here, and then I change it to maybe this. And he's making a different choice, so we're just dancing with contact, right? And trying not to be affected. Yeah.
It's so difficult. So difficult. But this is the concept. Two dancers with physical contact dancing as solo dancers.
Now, there might be a question that's asked is, do you actually dance at level 2 with partners on the social dance floor?
And the answer is yeah, all the time. Anytime I might want to, as the leader, change an idea, or
If I want to contribute an idea as well.
right, so we might be doing the same movement, and maybe Campbell is going to change it up here, right? We're dancing at level 2. I'm going to now copy her like I might want at level 3. Okay? Maybe I'm mixing it up, and then Campbell then came to match me. So all the time we can choose to dance at level 2 for prolonged periods of time or just for split seconds.
Yeah. And I think that'll become more clear as we start to talk about level 3.
So before we move on to level 3, let's practice transitioning from level 1 to level 2, right? So, and because I'm the leader, you know, if Campbell, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I've just signed up to be the leader. I'm the fly, which means I get to change the position of contact, right? But she is still dancing as an individual. I'm still dancing as an individual, but I get to choose the position of level 1 or level 2. So, you ready, Campbell? Here we go. Okay, level 1. Dancing at level 1. And then, create some contact. Still dancing at level 2, actually, excuse me.
Oh.
Dancing level 2 now. Oh.
Level 2 is pretty difficult. We've tried it several times.
We're going to cut this. So
Yeah.
let's cut. Okay. So here we go, Campbell. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Okay, dancing at level 1. Now, having a moment of level 2, but still different. Still different. So it's you gotta ignore your partner almost, right? Trying to do different things than your partner, right? Mixing up the connection points, right? Different connection points. Having some fun connection points here. Then back to level 1. Not touching, not touching, not touching our partners, right? Not touching our partners. And then level 2, touching our partners, but again, dancing differently. For the next part of the hierarchy of creating partner connection, we'll discuss frame matching. Frame matching is the bulk of today's instructional video. If you can walk away with one concept from today's video, have it be frame matching, have it be an awareness of frame matching, and then set goals perhaps to go out and practice the different elements of frame matching. Some resources for you before we start talking about the outline of this next part is my paper that I wrote on frame matching. You can find it at my website, www.jovenelle.com. Go to the website. There's a 13-page article published in Research for Dance Education, peer-reviewed article, and read it. As you read it, take notes, use that article, use your notes, compare it to this video, so that way you have a visual representation of how frame matching occurs. Now, some other ideas about frame matching to keep in mind is that frame matching is deceptive. You know, the structure of frame matching is fairly simple. However, the execution of frame matching becomes more complex. This is because within partner dancing, we put ourselves in situations
where we're able to explore different types of movement, where we're able to explore different ways of communicating. And in one position, we can have so many different means of communicating that what's important is to understand that all of these scenarios fit within the framework of frame matching. And oftentimes, we're asked, hey, so this one teacher taught me to do this one move like this, right? And you're telling me over here I need to do it like this. What's important is again, coming from the different teachers and the different dances, firstly, what are their values, right? Do their values align with your values in dance? Maybe you have been taught by another instructor to appreciate certain aspects of the dance, whereas this instructor might appreciate another aspect, right? And so that's the first question. What are your values, and do they align with the instructor from which you learn? Secondly, we should ask ourselves, where in frame matching does this fit, right? Frame matching is a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum of 5 elements: your posture, your tone, your tension, your energy, and your direction of energy. And within these elements, we have artistry, we have musicality, we have rhythm, we have momentum, we have partnering, and so there's so many elements in which we master, which is again why frame matching is the bulk of this video. Lastly, when it comes to level 3, although we'll be practicing frame matching, and although we call it matching, maybe that's a slightly misleading term, because at level 3, although I might be the leader, I can match my follower, right? And so the terms that Campbell and I will use in this section of the video is the initiator and the responder. So the initiator of movement and the responder to that movement. It's important to separate that from the leader and the follower, right? Later in this video, we're going to talk about what it means to be a leader, the roles of leading and the roles of following. But right now, we're going to take on the assumption that I am the leader, that my partner is the follower, and the leader gets to choose the position of the move, right? Whether it's here, or here, or somewhere different, right? But after that is assumed, either of us can initiate movement, and either of us can respond to movement. So keep that mindset as you watch and as you learn from this next part. So let's begin. We will explain frame matching through a framework called PTED. Lowercase p, capital T, lowercase e, lowercase d. PTED stands for posture, the capital T, 2 T's, tone and tension, energy, and direction of energy. So we're going to go through each element to understand these elements, and then we'll come back and talk about how they apply within the communication aspect of partner dancing.
Okay, so starting with posture, Joe's going to choose a posture in his body, and I'm going to do my best to copy that posture. And then Joe's going to choose another posture. And I'm going to do my best to do something with that posture. And then Joe's going to choose another one. And I'm going to copy that posture.
Now remember, that was me initiating the posture change and Campbell responding, but
it could be the other way around.
It could be the other way around. So Campbell will initiate a posture, and I'm going to respond.
Or I might be, maybe somewhere over here.
Oh, okay.
Right?
And I will respond.
Or maybe it's even closer.
And I'll respond. okay? So creating postures. Now, posture and frame matching, it tells us where tension should be applied. And this is key, because when it comes to creating frame, this is not necessarily the only frame out there, right? We can have frame that's down here. So we can still move our bodies and dance here, right? We have frame. We can be down here and again still move our bodies, right? We cannot face each other and still move our bodies, right? So frame is created in any shape, right? So what the posture does, or the shape, it tells our partners where the tension should be applied and communicated. So level 3 is, as you'll see on the hierarchy of creating partner connection diagram, is a movement-based level, right? Versus a move, right? So movement, meaning I move my body, my partner moves her body, or a traditional move, maybe I'm going to turn so that we're doing something different, okay? So within movement-based dancing, we change shapes, right? Movement has shapes. And it also has tone, which is muscle engagement. We'll talk about that in a minute. So in order to do this next exercise, we're going to be pretty relaxed. And we want to stay low tone, right? So that way the tone does not have an effect on our communication. So let's practice a concept called tension release. Now tension is built by 2 elements. It's built by stretch, and it's built by compression. Now some people call this leverage, maybe anchoring, maybe building tension, right? Most people call this compression, but the feeling of our bodies pulling apart, or the feeling of our bodies pushing in, we're going to call that feeling, we call it tension. So let's practice tension release concepts within the posture of P-TED, because it's the shape changes, the posture changes that allow us to do stretch release or tension release.
So as we connect, Joe's going to change his posture, and I'm going to change my posture, and he changes his posture, and I'm responding. So he's initiating, and I'm responding right now.
Maybe we'll do it sideways and we'll try something different. Right? A simple posture change. Right? A going out, a going in.
So one thing that's helpful to emphasize from what Joe mentioned before is I'm still moving my own body. He's not moving me. I am moving this way as I respond to what he's doing.
Right? More out and in. So, in this concept, tension release, I'm building tension, right? Building stretch, right? And then releasing it. So there's some key components to keep in mind when practicing tension release, okay? And we'll just practice a rock step or a ball change here, rock step, in order to simplify the concept. Now the key components are, firstly as Campbell said, the follower moves his or her own body, in this case her own body. I am not pulling my partner in, right? Because that's a new concept. That's called tension pull, right? The idea of tension release is we build tension and say,
I could release it.
and then I don't.
Oh.
Right? It's uncomfortable. So what happens is it's a very natural change to make, that instead of falling, if Campbell releases, okay, I'm going to come in too. Right? So this is the idea of tension release. It's in order to maintain balance. And then, because of it, we hone in on that skill right there. We're going to master it and how we can apply it to our dancing. So that's the first concept, that Campbell or myself, I'm in charge of moving my own body. I'm not pulling to move my partner's body. So we build tension, release. So I'll build it. She's matching, release. Now she can build it. I'm matching her, releasing. I'm matching her, releasing. Okay? One more concept to keep in mind. Campbell and I, we do not advocate for individuals to lag behind the other person. Okay? a lag looks like this. Right, Campbell, I want you to intentionally lag. Right, you can see Campbell goes slower than me intentionally. Now, we do like it if it's an artistic decision to texturize your dance, right? But not as our baseline basic. And so instead, we try and be as in sync with each other as possible, right? Campbell's going to do her best to be in sync with me. She's going to do her best. Now, there is natural response time. As we get better at this concept stretch release, two things occur. My partner or I become sensitive to the change. And then our reaction time increases. So we can feel it and then respond to it more quickly. And so here's a progression, right? Here's a beginner at stretch release, right? Who may not feel it right away. Right? May not feel it right away. Right? May not feel it, but she feels the change and she's recognizing it. She can even validate that change with her eyes. So now an intermediate, right, might feel it and be right with me, but might be a little slower and might need to use the eyes.
Or a little faster.
Or a little faster, right? And then an advanced dancer can close the eyes, can match the distance, can match the rate of change fairly with me right away, right? Fairly together, right? Again, there's room for that natural response time, but we're as close together as we can be.
One more concept that we want to add on to our stretch release, and that is when we change our posture, we're changing it relative to the center point between the two of us, right? So if you notice this whole time, we have this sort of plane between us where our hands stay, and as I choose to change my posture away, creating the stretch and release, or in, using compression, you can see that my arm expands with my posture from that point.
Now, another key to this is the arm has to change, right? Say if Campbell held her arm up and then she tried to do stretch release, right? I'm not going to feel it as well. So go ahead, Campbell, do some stretch release and hold your arm up. You ready? I'm questioning. I'm like, I don't feel a change. Like you can see Campbell's hand go forward and back, but we have to release the shape in the arms too.
Yeah.
So now, as we go back, we come in, look at the arms drop. We go back, we come in, look at the arms drop. Here's what happens when I don't let the arms drop. Close your eyes, Campbell. Let's see what happens. Ready? Close your eyes. Again,
I hear some things.
She hears some things. She can't feel the change of tension. But watch this. Let the arm release. Ah, she's right there with me. Her eyes are closed. Okay, watch this. I don't let the arm release. Where is she? She's not there. Let it release. She's there with me. Now this concept of a midline and the releases apply also to closed position, right? So maybe just back and forth, right? Here's our midline. Move my body away from the midline, move it into the midline. Away from the midline, into the midline. You'll see here, we're stretching here through the shoulder blades, right? I'm stretching and coming in, and stretching and coming in. We're using our lats to build that stretch, right? Versus collapsing. It still works, just doesn't work as well, and it doesn't look as good. Okay? Maybe another position, side by side. We have a midline. I'm going to go out and in. Out and in. The midline is there. I move my body.
I'm moving mine.
Okay. The next concept of tension release is that we match the distance of the release. Okay? And so here we'll do a rock step with a small release underneath us. A rock step with a medium release, just somewhere in the middle. And a rock step with a large release where we go next to our partner. Right? So we're matching the distance of the release. So firstly, Campbell's moving her own body. I'm not pulling. Secondly, she's matching the distance in which I release. Okay, now Campbell can do this. Right? We talk about the initiator and the responder. Typically, individuals value the leader taking on most of the initiation. I value my follower taking on an equal amount of initiation. So we're going to let Campbell practice here, and I'll match her. Right? She builds tension, and she releases it underneath her. She builds tension, she releases it in the middle somewhere. She builds tension, and large. Okay? And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes. So wish me luck. Right? Make sure you commit, because if she doesn't commit, I'm going to question. So here we go. We build tension, and we go underneath. Am I right, Campbell?
Yep.
How do I do? How am I doing?
Really good.
Right? Notice she's not pulling. Based on the release of that tension, I'm matching and moving my body through space. Campbell will do the same thing, right? Tension, a little bit of a release. Tension, a large release. Tension, another little bit here, right? She's matching based on that release of tension, that release of that feeling of pull, releasing. So we move through space. Now, another characteristic that we match is the distance and then the speed or the rate of change of that distance, right? So we'll simplify it here, and we'll just meet in the middle every time. 1, 2, we meet in the middle. 1, 2, we meet in the middle. So now, I'm going to change my speed, and Campbell has to match me. So maybe I'll go slowly, 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 releasing, and then back to my tension. Maybe I'll go quickly. Another quick one. Another slow one, right? Campbell is matching that change of the release, the rate of change, right? Now, followers, you take this on in mostly every preparation and every step of our partner connection. So Campbell has to move her own body. She has to match the distance. She has to match the rate of change, right? And then we do it and apply that to other movements. So here's some moves in which we might apply tension release, right? We'll do the rock step to keep it simple again. So rock step, I release and I trade spots. I don't pull in. Tension feels that rate of change, and she matches that in energy and momentum in her own body. Rock step, we trade spots. Rock step, we trade spots. Right? Rock step, I'll meet her in the middle. Right? We go back and we go in. Build tension, release it. Build tension, release it. Maybe we can apply some of our blues movements, right? So maybe I'll do some fishtails away. She goes back, mooches in. She comes forward, back, and forward. Now maybe Campbell wants to initiate. So maybe if we're doing our jukin basic here, one of the blues styles, and Campbell initiates a fishtail, I'm going to go back with her. And maybe when she's ready to come in, I'm going to come in with her. Again, there's no pull. She'll go back when she wants. I feel that tension building. And then she comes in. I feel that tension releasing. And she's doing a wonderful job of not pulling. Again, that's a different concept. To pull. We're practicing the build-up of tension and then the letting go of it. Okay? So those are also what we call macro releases.
So to couple with that, we also have micro releases. And what does that mean? So if we stand on our feet and you shift your weight forward toward your toes, toward the middle of your foot, and back, which you might not be able to see very well, I'll turn in. So we can actually match this as well, which might look like this. So Joe shifted back, I feel him shift in, shift forward, I could choose to shift. Yeah. So we have the micro and the macro to deal with, which really just means we need to practice this a lot.
And we can say that in our micro movements we have 5 spaces generally that we cover, right? So in the middle of our foot we have the neutral space. Okay, we have our forward space on the front of our foot. We have the back space over the heels of our foot. Now we can go beyond the back space or we can go beyond the forward space, typically which we do to get some compression. And so matching just the release of our micro movements and then adding those into our macro movements help us to master this concept of stretch release. Okay, maybe we're sideways, and so we can shift between feet here, right? You got your neutral, you got your in, you got your away, right? Again, this concept of building tension, releasing it, building compression, releasing it. Let's talk about compression release, and then we're going to do an exercise to demonstrate these concepts applied dynamically within our partnership. So compression release is the same concept. We build compression, we release it. We build compression, we release it. Now here are our micro movements, right, over our foot, but then we can move through space and release it through space. Right, release it through space. Again, without the push. Right? That's a different concept. We're going to cover that concept later. This is the building tension with our body weight, with the shape of our body, releasing that tension just by moving our own bodies. Right? Campbell can build up the compression, and she can release it, and I can match her. Right? She's the initiator, and I'm the responder. Okay? Moving through space, she initiates, she goes through space. She initiates, she goes through space. Okay? Now, before we show you our move, now for our move. In this move, we're going to build compression and we're going to build stretch, and we're going to use both concepts. It's a pretty advanced move. So, so do your best, and we'll show you some other moves at the end of the video with some easier techniques, but this right here shows both, okay, and it uses movement. So I'll be the leader in this move. So in this move, I'm going to create a hip roll forward, and I'm going to create some compression right down here. I'm compressing in, I'm over my foot compressing in, and then I'm going to release it and build some stretch. Compression, build some stretch. Compression, build some stretch. No push or pull. I'm not pulling and pushing. Right? That's illegal in stretch release, but it's legal in tension pull. Right? So here we go. Compression and stretch. Compression and stretch. So now let's move through space like we did earlier. I'm going to move through space and trade spots and do it again. Compression and stretch. Compression and stretch. I'm going to trade spots here. Build that stretch. Release it. Look at Campbell. She's releasing it. I'm not even pulling. She's matching the distance of the release. She's matching the rate of change. Okay? Compression, release, compression, release. Build some stretch. Compression, some stretch. Okay, trade spots. So now, let's add a new layer to it. I'm going to compress in the middle, and I'm going to cause Campbell to match the distance going forward and back. Excuse me, the direction going forward and back. And so we'll go one and back. Release it. I'm going to high five. We got compression up here. I'm going to bring it back to where it was. Compression, release, bring it forward, high five, compression, but I'm going to bring it back to where it was. Okay? From a new angle. So compression and some stretch, compression and some stretch. I'm going to trade spots here. Nothing in between. She keeps going. Compression and stretch, compression, keep going. There's nothing in between. She keeps going. But then I'm going to add something in between. Compression, stretch, compression, compression. Release it back to our original spots. Compression and stretch. Compression up here. Release it back. Right? So then, now you get to see a dynamic use of stretch and compression release integrated with movement and space usage. So go practice right now. So go ahead and go practice now. Go ahead. I dare you. In the previous explanations and exercises, we talked about tone being low tone, right? And tone is our next concept coming up. But until then, let's practice within stretch release or tension release, which also includes compression release. Let's practice high tone tension release, right? So instead of just low tone, build the tension, release the tension. Build the tension, release the tension. We could do it in high tone, okay? So a few things happen. Firstly, we have to have our assumptions in place. My partner is moving her own body, right? Secondly, she matches the distance of the change of movement through space. Thirdly, she's in charge of matching the rate of change, right? So those assumptions need to stay in place. So now let's do high tone. So you'll notice that Campbell's elbow is going to match my elbow here, right? So high tone means to engage. We're engaging in the hands too, here, right? You can see the hands engaging too. We'll discuss this in tone. So we're engaging the arms, we're engaging the body, and now we're going to practice stretch release. So I'm not going to push and pull. That's another concept coming up. That's tension, push, pull. This is tension release. So I got my high tone. I'm going to build stretch and release. And look how small it is. Stretch and release. Because tone is tight. Stretch, release. Stretch. Now let's do compression. Compression, release. Compression, release. Compression, stretch. Compression, stretch. Compression and stretch. Right? She's feeling it. She's feeling it. The tone is high, right? We're stretching our bodies from another angle, other hand here. She's feeling it, right? You can see the elbows and the length of the arms are matching, okay? I might come in and push in, and then release it, and push in, and release it. So all that tone does in this situation is tighten the muscles so that we can't expand so much, right? Low tone, we have a lot of room. High tone, not so much, right? Remember to put it in your body too when you're practicing this exercise.
So if we're connected, and again remembering that we're still in movement based versus the move based, right? I'm going to make some choice, okay? And he has responded to me. And as soon as Joe makes a different choice here, we become in conflict. So I'll try to lengthen out this conflict for a second. So you can see it. He's doing something different, right?
So this is what we call level 2, fishtail hip extension. Here we go.
Yeah. So here's I'm initiating this movement here. He's changed it. And so if I want to level it up to level 3, I'm going to resolve the conflict and get more with matching.
Okay, and then I might...
Right, and if I were to take my time in resolving the conflict, what level are we in right now? 2. And then as I resolve that, now we're in level 3. Yeah?
Now, let's do the reverse. Let's have Campbell initiate and I'll respond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's my movement. I'm going to stand still.
Mm-hmm.
We're dancing at level 2. We have connection with differences in movement. So this is what we can call conflict. And then she's practicing stretch release. I can feel that. I can feel her stretching and releasing. So then I'm going to join her. We now have resolution, right? Maybe now she's going to change it up. What are we going to do, Campbell? Notice the changing in rhythm. Notice the changing in shape. So then I have to find some resolution to it. I can use my eyes to help, but mostly I want to feel it through the tension. Hey, my reaction time's getting faster. There it is. Look, so we talk about reaction time and sensitivity. Am I in resolution with you, Campbell?
That's right. So one of this conflict resolution that we're looking at, we're trying to show it happening over a slow period of time, but often we're so quick to be able to adjust, right? If we've really practiced both being initiators and both being responders, we can resolve that conflict pretty much in a split second, you might not even notice. So it's sometimes even hard to tell who is the initiator if you're looking in from the outside.
So we're going to do an exercise here. I'll initiate, and then you initiate, and I'll initiate, and you initiate. And our goal is to practice resolving the changes in that tension, right? The conflict. Something weird is happening. So I'll initiate first. Here we go.
So I've already matched, right? I resolved the conflict immediately by using all of those elements that we've been mentioning.
Now she might change, and I'm going to resolve it immediately. I can feel it, and then, let's see, I want to change. Oh, look at her, resolving it immediately. And then she might want to change. I'm not going to look this time, Campbell. Challenge me.
You didn't even have to look to be able to resolve it pretty quickly because he's practiced these concepts a lot.
Right, and so practice, again, these are concepts of stretch release and tension release, moving through the levels of level 2 to level 3, level 2 to level 3, and really that's just dancing, trying different things and then finding resolution. And if we're good partners, we want to celebrate that, and especially when we mess up, because we want to celebrate people experimenting. But again, it's an experiment of becoming better at feeling what's going on, and then becoming better at responding what's going on, whether you want to match or you don't want to match.
Right. We actually have an exercise. We
Great.
want to dive into the tree exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will help us kind of tune into what we were just doing a little bit more. So Joe's going to stand and be a tree.
It's called the dancer and the tree now. We have the fly and the dancer, now we have the dancer and the tree.
Okay. And what's going to happen is I'm going to connect with him. We'll go ahead and use an open position connection, but you could try different types of connections here, right? And I'm going to let him close his eyes just so that he can really focus on what he's feeling, all right? And actually, well, let's angle it a little bit so they can see better. So I'm going to move my body, right? I'm going to move my body. And in moving my body, I'm sending a lot of information through where we're connected. And Joe's going to sense as much as he can. He can feel the direction, right? He can feel the amount of tension. And then once he feels like he knows what's going on, he's going to try to match me. He starts small and he ramps it up, right? And so he got all of that information with his eyes closed. So
just by standing still and listening.
exactly.
So mix it up, Campbell. Maybe go forward and back. And
Cool. We're also trying low tone here, and that's just another element. We're taking that out of it. Yeah? Hmm? So he's listening, and then he's going to try to match. Right? So he's even matching the rate of movement. Yeah.
so this time, Campbell will be the tree, and I'm going to give you some pretty powerful tension here.
Okay.
You ready? Okay, face the camera. Here we
Oh,
go.
goodness.
Right? So I'm gonna pull on her, and she
What?
has to use her roots and stay.
Ah.
Right? Pull and push. And I'm still figuring out, what do I want to do? Right? She's such a good
It's
tree.
extreme tree.
Right? Extreme tension. Right? Extreme. Let's see. Finding out what I want to do. But look at this. She's feeling all the shapes I'm creating. Right? Through space. Pulling and asking her to balance back away. Right? Stretch release is an away connection. So then I'm like, okay, I think I know what I want to do.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, she's feeling it out. She's feeling that tension. She'll start with weight transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling my weight transfers. The distance, feeling the rate of change, and then she can match some of the hip movements once she has those weight transfers. So pretty good, huh? All with her eyes closed.
Exactly.
Right? So now you go and practice the tree and the dancer exercise to help you build awareness of recognizing the changes in tension and then resolving those changes to match. We just covered some of the posture elements of P10. A reminder, P10 is posture, tone, tension, energy, and direction of energy. Okay? We've covered one of the elements. Now let's go into great detail on tone. So that way you can expand your horizons of tone and perhaps try some different things with your implementation of tone. Now, tone is almost like a superpower, right? You can use it for good or you can use it for evil, right? And which side are we going to use it for? Mostly because it's a really powerful communication tool. And tone can be used as a texture in our dancing. It might give flavor to our dancing, right? Maybe high tone flavor, maybe some low tone flavor, right? Or tone might be used as a tool, right? So for example, I might use tone to keep a spin going, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I use tone to accelerate a jump across space, right? So we really want to work on our mastery of using tone, but also the signals that are asking for our follower to match the use of tone. So a few ideas for tone to keep in mind. Tone is within my body. Tone is within her body. I cannot make my partner tone, right? I'm like, tone, tone, right? Look at this. I can't make her do it. I can't, ow. Tone, she just doesn't do it, right? I can, as a leader, affect my partner's posture, right? You know, maybe I'm going to affect my partner's posture, different shapes. I'm going to push her around, right? Although that may not be preferable, I can do it. But when it comes to tone, tone is a completely matched concept, right? Just like a handshake. If we're shaking hands and Campbell's going to squeeze my hand, right, she cannot ask me to squeeze back, right? That is a decision that I, as a responder, need to make to the initiator, right? So tone is a matched concept, and this is very key. So we want to work on these signals for matching tone. Let's go over one of the key signals for communicating tones, and that's the shape of the hand and then the tone engagement, okay? Now, typically, dancers are afraid to squeeze the hand, right? To engage the hand. But the thing is, we're not afraid to give a good handshake, right? Because we've been taught how to give a good handshake. However, somewhere along the lines of teaching, dancers might learn, okay, when you compress, that's the signal for tone, right? That's not the signal for tone, right? That's the signal for a posture change to build compression. Tone might be an element within that, but it's not the signal for tone, right? Tone is a matched concept. So me strengthening my body is the signal for my partner to strengthen her body. However, people found a trick. They said, okay, without squeezing the hand, we can communicate tone through compression. We communicate tone through stretch. Now, yes, you can, right? But what we want in this video is that we want to be able to isolate the elements of P10, to work and master the elements of posture, communicated connection. Now working on the tone communicated connection. So we're working on the hand communicated connection of tone. So here's an exercise. You're standing with your partner, and the goal is this, right? Look at our hands up here. I am going to try and communicate to Campbell to squeeze her abs. Ready, Campbell? Ha! Go. Squeeze. Now, the trick of this is I can't compress, right? No compression. That's a posture. No leverage. That's a posture. I have to stay neutral. Hi. Maybe a wink will do it, right? It doesn't do it, right? We have to go through the line of contact, which is through our hands. So this is a matched hands. So typically, a more round hand indicates higher tone. A more open hand indicates lower tone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my posture, P, TED, go in that order, set your posture, and then engage your tone, and it should be really comfortable. Now, as you're working with a partner, have that open communication for, oh, you know what, you're doing a really nice job at engaging tone. I think you've curled too much in the back of the hands, right? So instead of saying, never do that, right, we work on how to do it correctly, right? So a handshake, we learn how to do it correctly. Toning the hands, we learn how to do it correctly, okay? So now I'm going to engage my hands. Campbell's matching, I'm engaging my arms, she's matching, and then watch, I engage my abs, she's matching, right? We release, engaged, release, engaged, release. There's nothing. She's not matching. There's no line of communication. Now she is, now she is, okay? So the hand communication is key. So let's practice that a little bit, right? Let's do some hand changes here, okay? Firstly with the posture. So I'm going to, we're asking our partners to match the shape of our hands. So if our hands are open completely, right, our partner's hands need to be open. So as I curl my hands, my partner curls the hands. As I open my hands, my partner opens the hands. As my hands change quickly, open quickly, go to the middle, open, close, right? And then we got to get used to doing it in two hands, right? This one does something different than this one, right? And then I can switch it. And then the speeds can switch. Right? It's challenging. It's really challenging, right? So practicing the posture change in the hand first. And then once you get used to setting a good posture and that posture being matched, engaging the tone in the hands to communicate tone in the body, okay? This is a concept in frame matching, which is called body matching, right? My body is matching my arms, and my arms are matching my body. So if I want my partner to engage her body, that means I want my body to be engaged, body engaged, now we got to match it in the arms, body matching, okay? And then frame matching is between two people, right? So I body match myself, tone, tone, frame matching, tone, tone, right? So practice these signals within the hands of matching tone. Now, it's not just the hands, because say if we're in close embrace, now it's the arms, right? Toning goes in and down, typically, right? So as my arms go in and down, her arms are going to go in and down. And release. Notice she's matching, right? Notice here, we're doing it on both sides, right? In the hands and here. Matching, release. Matching, release. Matching, release. So then, maybe I might want to dance super tone for some texturing in our dance here. Super tone, but then I might want to release it. And now we're low tone. Then match for some super tone movements, right? It feels great, right? This is what we call tone as a texture, using tone within our body to add to the dynamics of movement, right? And then matched with a partner by frame matching.
Okay, so we've gone over the depth of tone a little bit more, and now we want to show you how we're putting it into practice, relating it back to moving together, using stretch-release, and we're going to show this in both a close embrace position and an open position, just so you can see how else to practice it.
Okay, here we go. So we'll do some low tone walking here. Right, low tone. Now some high tone. Tighten the movement up. Right, matching that tone in the hands and the arms. Low tone. Maybe trying some grinds here. Right, high tone. Right, adding that texture of tone. And then maybe opening it up, having some low tone stretch releases. Right, moving through space, having high tone stretch release. Right, moving through space, bringing it back in to close position, low tone, high tone, right? So nice mix and match of the use of tone as we practice. Okay, so let's talk about some of the problem-solving strategies for using tone in our dancing. So here, let's start with a question firstly that we often get when we instruct. The question is, if our partner doesn't know about tone matching, can they do it? What do you think, Campbell?
So if I don't know about tone matching, can I actually
Match tone.
Well, I have to put it into my own body. He can't make me do it, but some of it hopefully will become natural. So it's almost like a natural response.
So maybe if we're on a date, right?
Yeah.
And we're strolling through the park, and here comes a little kitty,
Yeah.
right? We've got to watch out for the kitty. And we're like, ah, kitty!
Right?
Right? That reaction is fairly natural.
Right.
But maybe much more than that in terms of the rhythms that we might implement in our tone, in terms of the energy,
How quickly it
communication.
changes.
It may not be as possible. Remember, frame matching is a learned, is a practiced framework, and we can do some naturally, but I think going through instructional videos like this, or working with instructors who are familiar with all the elements of frame matching, is really the best way in which our partners can learn to match tone. Sometimes some dancers start at a higher tone than our partners, right? So Campbell, she's this really strong dancer, right? She always wants to dance strongly. And I always want to do this. Go ahead, Campbell, be your strong self. And I'm like this. And I'm like, okay, how can I dance as a loose dancer with a strong dancer, right? This is us. She's strong, I'm loose. Well, firstly, an awareness of baseline, right? If I understand where my partner's tone is, and if my partner understands where my tone is, we can match each other, right? So if Campbell's strong, I'm going to go strong too, and then we can have probably a good dance. Remember, we can still do stretch and release. I can bring my partner through space, right? Now, for some individuals, this is the preferred style of connecting. For some, it's not. For some, loose is the preferred style. So if Campbell's strong right now, and I'm loose, she can come down to me, oh, and now we're together, right? So changing tone in our baseline to match our partners is a really good trick in order to start communicating with tone changes. The next thing is understanding how tone changes, right? So this might be tone changes to be a lot of tone or a little bit of tone, right? Or somewhere in between, right? Matching the hand and the body. A lot of tone, in between, a little tone, right? You can see us relaxing. Then matching the rate of change, right? Do I increase tone quickly, release it quickly, increase quickly, release quickly, slowly, release slowly, right? Matching the rate of change in which we create tone. So we have the baseline, we have the amount, we have the rate of change, and the last one is also where it is in the body, right? So maybe I might connect pretty strongly around her back, right? But this arm, maybe we want to be loose out here. So this is our dynamic. We get a really funny dynamic, right? Strong on one side of the body, loose on the other, right? Maybe I want to have really low tone arms, but really high tone body, right? As we do our movements, right? So learning to feel through this tension, you're like, okay, I can feel a lot of tension, but I'm not getting it in the arms, so it must be in the body, right? So learning to recognize where those tone changes are, right? Maybe doing a move like we did earlier, but with one hand being strong and the other hand loose. What is that going to look like? Let's see. Right? Getting a different dynamic within our movement here. And so being able to match that on different sides of your body in different shapes is really important. Now let's cover level 4 of the hierarchy of creating partner connection. Level 4 typically is a move-based level. We typically think of levels 1, 2, and 3 as movement-based, meaning it's within my body. Now level 4 requires level 1, 2, and 3 in order to execute efficiently and effectively. But assigning the mindset that level 4 typically, again typically, there are of course exceptions, is a move-based level. It helps us to recognize the connection elements that allow us to do this. So again, a movement base is I move my body,
I move my body,
and then we move together, right? And then we practice matching, right? We're matching. Even if we move through space and trade spots, we practice matching, okay? Now, that's movement based. Is again, I'm in charge of my feet, my partner's in charge of her feet. Now here, move based, I'm in charge of her feet. I'm going to say, hey, go here. I'm going to say, hey, come on over here, right? And then I might do a little dip here, right? So move-based dancing. Now, as we stated earlier, this is not the pinnacle of partner connection, right? It's just one of the top building blocks of partner connection. You know, when it comes to artistry and us building our dance, we try to incorporate all the different levels and all the different techniques because it gives us a very dynamic dance in terms of connection. Okay, so now let's practice some of the philosophies and concepts that go with level 4, move-based dancing and leader-initiated connection, locking posture. It's driven by 2 concepts. The first is that the posture doesn't change. And so if we're just doing rock steps, for example, and I let my posture stay the same and I disengage, Campbell's not going to follow the change in tension because there is no change in tension, right? So that's one way of locking posture, is mimicking a posture and then disengaging. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this idea and we're going to add tone, right? So it could make for a faster lock. It could make for a faster movement. So here's another example, right? An inside turn, triple step, okay? Restarting, I'm going to have a slight pull here, right? And it's going to lock her body, and her body takes the momentum. So there's a lot of use for this concept.
resistance of movement. So if I give him this downward direction, or up, or in to out, he's going to resist, right, to maintain his frame.
And she can even mix it up here.
Yeah.
She can
I
go.
could mix it this way, up to down on different hand. I could do side on one hand and down on the other. Right? I could even go with rotation. I could give him this pronation. I could do that in both hands, or I could do them mixing and matching, or I could go down on one hand and pronate on the other. And we can mix up this range of movement to practice the resistance.
And I can, in order to practice this exercise, I can do it with Campbell, right? So I'm going to push down, she has to resist. I'm going to push up, she has to resist. Push in, push out. We have supination, she has to
resist.
We have supination, she has to resist. We have pronation. We also have forward and back, right, with resistance. But this one we save for last, because typically when we go forward, people want to compress. When we go out, people want to leverage. Remember, those are posture-driven elements of connection, right? So in order to do this well, keep your weight neutral in the center of your foot and don't let your weight transfer around your foot. So then we can isolate the tone, pushing forward like we're going to bench press, pushing forward through that range of movement, and pulling back through that range of movement. Now, again, let's mix and match. Here and here and here and here, and push and pull and supinate and pronate, right? And then we can do it in different postures.
Oh, if he's going to resist, as I give some different directions. Yeah.
So imagine a tuck turn, right? If Campbell's going to lead me through a tuck turn and I go like this.
Oh.
Go ahead, Campbell.
Right?
A few more times.
Oh.
Right? That's because I didn't offer any engagement. Right? Tone is muscle engagement. So we're going to try and go through the body, go through the lats. She can push through, and by offering that resistance through my body, I can now move how she wishes. Okay? So we're going to take our resistant ranges. So up, down, in, out, forward, back, supinate, pronate. Pronate, supinate. And we're going to apply that to a move and add tone. Okay, so here's our move. We will go rock, pull her in, lock her posture. Okay, so what I'm doing here is in the top hand, I'm pushing down. In this hand, I'm pulling away. So I've used it to lock her in place. She can't go anywhere, right? And so I'm using tone to stop momentum and the posture to lock it. So we go 1, 2, and 3, right? Good. Now this takes practice, right? Because you have to get used to coordinating your body in different postures. Again, a reminder of what we practiced earlier. My hands communicate the change in tone, right? And so imagine this. So we're open, we go rock, step, and tone, right? So we have that posture change here. Now, in terms of exiting, rock, step, and here, we can just release the tone and the momentum continues, okay? We could do it from here, 1, 2, and 3, and then I might disengage my body, and I might say, you stay right there, I'm going to do a little jig around you, right? So again, messing with the followers, it's the best. Understanding now that we have some awareness of how to respond to tone, let's put it into action. Typically, we have two uses of tone, and we said this earlier. Tone is a texture, right? Increasing tone to change the quality of movement that we're trying to execute. And then we have tone as a tool, and this is typically using tone to execute moves. So within this concept, we use tone to create energy, we use this tone to create momentum, we use this tone to control momentum and redirect individuals. And so just watch as Campbell and I are dancing here. I'm going to create energy in high tone, I'm going to go low tone for low tone energy, and then maybe some redirections here. And so we're dancing, we're low tone, we're going to be high tone, back to low tone, back to locking posture, low tone, moving again, high tone, right, for some quick energy, high tone to low tone, right, low tone to high tone, releasing it, right, so using these moments of tone to add dynamics to our dancing, right? Adding stretch release in, creating energy, controlling that momentum, toning, right? Now, typically again at level 4 is a leader initiated level, and so it tends to be more strictly lead and strictly follow, whereas at level 3 there's much more room for follower expression, in which she may also change tone and movement. And we're going to talk a little bit about backleading later at the end of this video. So to dive deeper into this tone, creating energy and controlling momentum, we're going to work on now tension pull and tension push, right? So typically from a stretch we build tension, and from stretch we can pull, okay? From compression we build tension, and from compression we can push, okay? These tend to be two really powerful tools for doing moves, right? So typically, stretch release, I move my body,
I'm moving mine.
right?
and stretch, pull, I'm in charge of my partner's body, right? We're moving together, we're moving on our own, there's no push, there's no pull here, right? I'm going to pull through, I'm going to push open and tension push, I'm going to push open and compression release, right? And so let's understand this idea of tension push, tension pull.
So let's look at them back to back so we can see the differences.
Great.
So we've got, let's do our tension release as we did before, right? Tension, release, tension, and now I'm doing tension pull. Tension, pull. And see how much I moved, right? And he wasn't moving his body in that same way.
So let's look again. So tension, release, we meet in the middle. We travel the same. Tension, pull, she does the traveling.
Another way of looking at it is where that center point is between us, right? So the center point stays there, stays steady, and then all of a sudden that point moves.
Maybe in compression. Compression, 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 push. This is a good time to review our 4 levels and the overarching concepts. And so let's go over level 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And we're going to dance each level. We're going to mix and match. So here we go. Level 1, Campbell. Level 1, doing our own thing. Okay, level 2, touching, but doing our own thing. Right? Level 2, still doing our own thing. Oh, never mind.
That was
We're
an
level 3.
independent choice.
Okay, here we go. Level 2, doing our own thing. Level 3, matching. Matching, stretch, release. Right? Level 3, matching. Maybe moving through space. Moving through space. No pushing and pulling. Matching. Right? Matching. Level 4, a little bit of a push there. A little bit of a pull. A little bit of a push. Back to matching. Right? Stretch, release. Right? Compression. Compression. We're in level 3. Level 2. Go, Campbell.
I choose my movement.
Very different. She goes still level 2.
She's dancing with contact.
Going in now to level 3. Going level 4. Going level 1. Level 2. Level 3. And now we're matching. Level 4. Right? Having these different levels and transitioning through is just so much fun, right? But also it takes a lot of control and feeling what's going on with the tension, right? The tension is the key. Is it going away? Are we being pulled through space? Are we touching? And also, even more so, having the courage for followers to add a voice in when it's at level 3 matching. Right? There's no push and pull. There's space to dance. And we're going to talk about this one later too. Okay. So now it's time to go into more detail on body movement and body mechanics and how they can affect connection. Okay? The 2 concepts are contralateral movement and homolateral movement. Now, contra meaning against, lateral meaning the side. Okay, homo meaning the same, lateral side. So homolateral, same side movement. Contralateral, opposite side movement. Okay, now typically contralateral is referred to in our community as contra-body movement. Now, any way of saying that is fine, right? Also in the ballroom world, homolateral is referred to as natural position, right? And so some of the same terms. We're going to use contra and homolateral movements in this video. So contra body, there's a lot to contra body. A contra meaning going again. So if it's just our torso and our legs, right? We can go forward with our body and forward with our legs, right? They're going against each other. You know, One's coming up, one's going down. Okay, now we can go the other way. One's going back, one's going up, right? We can do some abduction here, right here. We can do some twisting, right? Some rotation of the core here, right? Everything, one part's going one way, the other part's going the other way. We can do that with our hands, right? Getting our hands involved in this. And such as a rock step, our hands are involved. We go opposite in contra body stretch release. Okay? Now, the next one is what we call zombie walking, right? Homolateral movement. You ready? Let's walk like zombies, Campbell. Right? Or in a more upright position, maybe it's a little more beautiful. Now, we use both of these in dancing. Contra body movement we use in walking. So, you ready? So we're walking around, moving our arms, moving our chest, moving our hips and our legs. Everything is in opposition. Okay? Now, walking forward is great in contra body, but try turning in contra body. What does that look like? It's not really effective. You can't get like 2 or 3 turns like this, right? But homolateral movement is great for turns. Same side turning. The other way, same side movements. But homolateral is terrible for walking forward, right? Unless you want to have maybe an accent in your dancing. Now, we might use one to prep the other. So for example, we might start in contra body and go to homolateral to get a nice turn. We might start in homolateral and then exit into contra body to add some dynamics there. So we mix and match the preparations of both, or we just might stay in one style of movement. So here's some examples of contra body and homolateral movement just in drag blues. So we're walking, we're in contra body. I rotate, homolateral, rotation, homolateral, contra body, contra body, contra body, homolateral, right? Homolateral, contra body, right? And so we mix and match it, which you would have learned in video 2. So if you haven't seen video 2, go watch video 2. Now, in terms of leading moves, we use contra body and homolateral movement differently. Typically, contra body is used for stretch release. Stretch away, come in. Contra, we go away or against and come in, right? So if I'm leading contra body, I might do everything opposite to my arm, and then she's going to match that in her body opposite to me, which is how we get that mirrored effect, right? So fishtails, right? I move one way in my body, she can match that through the tension that she feels here, right? We go back, we come in, right? We're doing contra body movement here. Now, homolateral, I'm going to use that to pull my partner through because it's asking me to do same side movement. So same side, I'm going to pull through, and next thing you know, I get a nice body lead through space. Now, stretch release is still considered body leading, right? It's a different type of body leading, okay? Pulling through is another type of body leading, right? This is contra body and homolateral, bringing my same side together, right? Pulling through, same pushing, right? I might push through my body there, right? Stepping and pushing in the same direction. Whereas if I were to do contra body, it would look like this, going in the opposite direction.
Okay.
So here's an example of a move we might do using homolateral leading. So I'm going to push her to the side and get her up top. I'm going to keep the tone, keep the posture. She's locked, right? Now if I release the posture, release the tension, she can exit. Use tone to get there, keep the posture the same, and release. So notice, leading homolateral, exiting contra body, right? Use of the terms there. So watch Campbell and I will do our drag blues and see if you can spot moments of contra body and see if you can spot moments of homolateral. So here we go. Did you see it? Hopefully you took a tally. You're like, yep, homolateral 7, contra body 10. Just kidding. But you can keep the tally of it.
So we've been talking about these different levels, and sometimes within one level you start to get closer to another. We want to look at what's a real level 3, what's a level 3 getting close to level 4, and what's a real level 4, so we start to distinguish between them. So we're going to give you an example here of a level 3, where really we're just using the stretch and release, right? We're moving within our own space. And then as Joe releases and lets me pass by him, we're now traveling in more space, which starts to get more like a level 4. Right? It almost looks more like a move too, rather than just movement. But it's still stretch release. We're kind of calling it a level 3 still. Yeah? And then if we move up to a level 4, you're going to see me do more of the movement. Right? Hopefully that's pretty clear as you see that transition as we're into a solid level 4.
So remember that when we typically think of movement-based dancing, we think about moving our own bodies. When we think of move-based dancing, the leader is moving the follower's body. So it's important to understand the spectrum, right? Where in peer level 3, right? I am maybe this is like level 3 closer to level 2, having that solo dancing. I'm moving within my space here. My partner's moving within her space there. Now, as a leader, if I use stretch release to ask my followers' feet to move through space outside of that space, this is more of a move here, right? It's using level 3 concepts of stretch release, but it's more of a move. And so this is understanding, as Campbell said, that spectrum, right? And then as Campbell said, it's really clear, level 4, right? That one tends to be the clearest.
So we've gone over the difference between tension release and tension pull or tension push, and we want you to try it with your partner. So grab a partner and try the difference between them, and then you'll start to understand a little bit more between level 3 and level 4.
Yeah, and especially those moves, right? We want a clear distinction that this is a tension release move and that this is a tension pull move. So go and practice right now with your partner, put us on pause, come back in a couple minutes. And we're serious, do it now. In this portion of the video, we're going to discuss energy and direction of energy. These are the last 2 letters of PTED, and you know, pretty much a consequence of changes in posture, tone, and tension. What we think about is we think about changes in energy creating changes in rhythm, and really our connection reflects that. And really, our connection reflects the changes in rhythm too, right? Because our movement has posture, our movement has tone, our movement has energy and direction. The only difference is when I get with a partner, her posture, tone, energy, direction, my posture, tone, energy, direction is communicated through the big T, tension, right? So we each have this. And so within that, the tone changes are going to create and match rhythms that maybe our feet want to do or the rest of our body wants to do. And so here's an example. I'll do some dancing for us, Campbell. Here we go. So here, I'll do a fishtail. My body here has posture, right? Shapes. My body here has tone. My body has energy and has direction. And so now, in order to change these posture, tones, energy, and direction, I'm probably going to get a little change in rhythm. Right? Adding here, right? Maybe I'm going to take this simple move and add some quick slows to it, right? Just that change of energy, that change of tone, that change of posture creates these changes in rhythm. And so we can do this now with our partner, right? And so as we do this with a partner, we have changes in rhythm, changes in energy, right? Our postures, our tones, our connection styles are changing, right? We're here, we're frozen, we're going, right? All of these together is rhythm in the connection, rhythm in the body, it's energy across the floor.
Yeah. So in order to accomplish this, I need to match the energy that I'm feeling from my partner. So if we do a couple examples here just to show, if Joe's doing some rotation here and I don't match the energy, this really drags and he has to put in even more to try to power us. Versus if I match, we could actually go even faster.
So much faster.
Yeah. Or another example of me traveling in space, right? Versus me really matching the energy allows me to travel faster.
Right? So Campbell's doing a really great job of putting energy in her body to match the speeds. She's taking energy and releasing it to slow down. It's so much fun. And here's the thing, it's so much easier on the leader to be dynamic and create some of these rhythms and these shapes together across the floor.
Within the context of moves, he gives me a lot of times turns in a direction, right? And there's really two pieces that we want to make sure are really clear. We get the direction first, and then we add the rotation. So it might look like this. I get the direction, and then I get the rotation. Direction, and then I get the rotation.
Maybe something like this. There's direction, rotation, right, in our preparation, right? She follows that direction and rotates into it. She's going to lead out with the direction and then rotate. There's direction, rotation, direction, rotation, direction, no rotation, rotation, not really any linear direction, right? Direction, rotation, direction, direction, rotation. So leaders, make sure that when you're leading your moves, whether it's stretch-release moves, there's a direction and then there's rotation, right? Whatever it is, right? There's direction and then there's rotation. So key tips for understanding direction rotation are similar to everything else that we've talked about, right? Firstly, understand the energy, because this is energy and direction of that energy. So how much is there, right? It's going to determine the rate of change, how much energy, the direction of that energy, and then we can get into follower expression, which is coming right up.
All right, let's talk about follower styling. So when I first started dancing, I wanted to be the perfect follow, which meant I wanted to follow every turn, every direction or rotation like we were just talking about, every step, the size of the steps. I wanted the connection to feel really perfect. And it was a fun way of dancing, but sort of along the way, along my journey, I found out that actually I could add even more to the dance than I thought, while still being a follower. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this. When we looked at the different levels, level 4, right, was the move-based dancing, where he was moving my feet, giving me turns and moves. But level 3 is this place where the follower can take the initiative to move their own body and to have the leader respond, right?
So let's start with level 4, and we'll talk about level 3.
Cool.
So with level 4, the key is understanding the direction rotation, right? But it takes an understanding of posture, an understanding of tone, an understanding of the energy direction rotation, okay? And so say if this is her direction and her rotation, okay? There's energy there. 1, 2, she's turning around, okay? Now, you felt that twice now, right? Do you think you have a good idea of where you're supposed to be?
I think so.
And you think you have a good idea of when you're supposed to be there?
Yep.
Okay, let's see you change it up.
So I'm going to be dancing within the framework that Joe gives me, right, without affecting it by ending up in the same place you would expect.
And again, something different. Nice. And now, something with the arms, something shake.
Yeah,
Ready?
yeah.
Here we go. Right?
Yeah.
So that's level 4 styling within the context of the move, within the context of the leader's framework.
And then bringing it back to level 3, right, we talked about how both of us can initiate. So we're dancing, and I choose to move my body in a certain way, and it creates tension release, right? So we're dancing, right, and I maybe accelerate it, and he can match it, right? Or I change my posture, and he can match it.
Now, let's talk about this level 3 follower expression. It's an important level to me because it's when I become inspired by my follower. And too often, my followers expect me to be a level 4 leader, right? But my style in blues dancing typically is level 3, which means I ask for my own energy, I ask my partner to have her own energy, and then I ask too that she initiate ideas in movement, in rhythm, in stretch. So what we talk about here is space, right? And Campbell has a bubble around her, okay? This is her self space, and I have a bubble around me. This is my self space. Now, Campbell, move forward to the forward part of your bubble. Now move back, move a little bit to the side, and move to the side. Now, from your point of view, does this look like a lot? If Campbell moves through her bubble forward and back as well, here, to me, this isn't a lot of take, right, from the leader, from traditional leading. It's very reasonable. And so keeping energy, right, with the leader, keeping this idea of stretch with the leader, Campbell can dance within her bubble. Okay, so I'll just do a basic here. I'll just do a side bounce here, more of a jukin style of blues. And Campbell can go within her bubble, right? She's within her bubble. She might go forward and back in her bubble too. Right, this is very reasonable for me. And then, as she goes forward and back, I can then start to match her. Right, so she is the initiator and I am the responder. Now, I still have my role as a leader, but within level 3, there's so much more room for my partner to initiate. Now, it's not just that, right? She can take the space, but she can drive the movement, okay? And then I can match that back. So here we go. Take the space and drive the movement, Campbell. Right? Some nice dynamic interplay of the connection.
A third way of looking at follower expression is how I can disengage part of my body from the connection to add some ideas, right? So one might be if we're in a really close embrace, which a lot of people find quite constraining, right? I've got this arm over here that can do quite a lot of stuff. Or I can use my hips. It's still not affecting what's happening, so I'm working within our framework.
Mm-hmm.
even what you saw earlier with our move, there's a slight disengagement here so that she doesn't allow me to feel what's going on. So here we go, right? Slight disengagement so I don't feel the changes in rhythm. Again, that's one way to work within the context of the lead. Now, let's go into another topic here, which is more of a cultural topic of connection, and we're going to call this the contract.
So when we start a dance, sometimes we actually even have a discussion about what we want this dance to be. But I'd say more often than not, there's an implicit contract as I dance with each person as to how they expect me to dance as a follower and what I expect from them as a leader, right? So most of the time, I would say, the leaders expect me to not move their feet, right? So just as Joe was giving me like that tension pull idea, right? And moving me into space, right? If I did that as a follower,
Whoa!
right? That might break the contract. So we want to define what does it mean to be a leader and a follower.
What does that breaking the contract mean? Sometimes it means backleading. So let's talk about the contract. Let's talk about backleading within the culture of our dancing. Okay, our dancing, not everybody else's. The contract and culture that we agree upon.
So we think of both of us as being dancers first. So thinking about that hierarchy again, right? Level 1 and level 2 really emphasize solo dancing. And those are the building blocks to become the dancers that we like to be.
Which means you have your own energy, right? This is an implicit contract that we assume, right? My partner has her own energy. And when it comes to matching, my partner has her own energy. And when it comes to more of the level 4, my partner's going to go and with her own energy. So that's one of the assumptions we make within our contract, one of the agreements we make for our dancing. Now there's more to that, right? Some questions might be, what are our roles as a leader and a follower, right? Because we can enter the dance. We're going to say, Campbell, I'm a strict leader, and I'd love for you to be my strict follower. What do you say?
Okay, sure, we'll try it out.
She's agreed, right? So she's going to be as in sync with my movement as possible, maybe doing less follower expression, right? Really trying her best to feel what's going on, right? Now the contract might be, Campbell, I want to be the leader, and I'd love it if you were the follower. But I want you to move your body and express yourself as much as you can.
Okay.
Right? So then we start here, and next thing you know, she's dancing. Right? Before me. That's great, because that's part of our contract. That was our agreement. I wanted her to express herself. Think about this. Does leading necessarily mean that the leader has to start moving first?
I've actually taken it as a challenge to several students I've worked with as followers who wanted to add more expression to immediately start dancing first and see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good song, right? That song's a good one, so feel free to move your body, right? And then, again, but this is within the contract that we agreed on, right? Hey, Campbell, I want you to dance as much as possible, right? Next thing you know, look at this. She's already starting without me. Yeah, right? But I'm still the leader. I'm going to lead her across the floor, right? I'm going to be here in our drag blues here, right? I'm going to bring her here into the floor. I'm going to let her go. She has some freedom. Look at her go. She's dancing. Now, there are some contracts where it might be this. Campbell, I would love for both of us to lead. I'd love for both of us to follow. So if you could really take initiative to move my feet, like a leader might move my feet. And she says?
Sure.
Okay, so here we
off.
go. So we're going.
Okay.
And
maybe
then,
I give him a little.
and I might take over. Right? And then she might do a little something where I'm following, right here. Right? And then I might do a little something where I take over the lead. She might do a little something here. Again, that's within our contract. Right? And it just comes down to communicating our values, right, and what we want this dance to be. Now, let's talk about backleading. Back leading typically is when the follower, because back leading is the follower, unfortunately, right, is when the follower breaks the contract, right? And it typically applies to more of the traditional contract of leader, follower, right? So if that's what we agreed on, here's our traditional contract, and Campbell does a nice little turn to my feet. Go ahead, Campbell. Hey. Back leading, right? But maybe that was our contract, leader, follower, right? But maybe I have a higher tolerance, right? And I accept more, right? And then maybe she's like, hey, I just felt it. And next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Okay, now we're back to normal, right? Maybe it was an in-the-moment thing, right? So a lot of it comes down to good partnering, right? Being a good partner is, you know, just like a good partner in life, right? One that embraces, one that accepts differences, one that is willing to take risks and try new things. But again, it also comes down to our values, right? What we agree on. Some other ideas of back leading, right? The first one, the most clear one, moving the leader's feet, right? Now, talking within the contract of traditional leading and following, right? If Campbell's dancing within her space, especially forward and back, totally fine, right? She can totally create stretch. It's level 3 dancing. It's within the context of lead follow, because I'm in charge of changing the position. I'm in charge of changing the position, right? I'm in charge of moves. But Campbell has her self-space, right? So as you look at her, she's moving in her space. It doesn't inhibit what I want to do, right? However, remember we have 2 types of moves. We have tension push and tension pull, and then we have stretch release or tension release moves. So if Campbell, within her self-space, if she starts to travel outside of that space and asking me to move outside of my space, that could also be considered a back lead, right? But again, it came down to our initial contract was leader, follower, right? Now, sometimes artistry takes over.
Right, so there are definitely moments where I would do something that some people might consider a back lead, but because the moment was just set up just perfectly for it, right? The music drove me to do it, and I made the choice, right? So I'm doing it because I want to, not because I don't realize what's happening in the connection.
So let's give you an example, right? Maybe out of a turn, she might change the position from open position to something else, right? How is she going to do that? Hey, nice, right? That's an artistic decision, okay? And so when we talk about artistry and connection, we talk about you know, more than just connection and more than cultural values. This really comes down to how one person can create with another person, right? So we take our knowledge, we take our understanding, we take our ability to apply that knowledge and understanding, we bring together ideas, we evaluate the situation, and then you can create. So just as Campbell did, right? She's feeling the rhythm, she's feeling the stretch release, she's following the tone, she's following the energy, and within the context of direction rotation, she feels it, and she comes in because she evaluated the situation as one of those artistic, and I should say, she evaluated the situation as a safe space to create and make an artistic decision. And so, go out there and just keep dancing, right? Find the spots in which you feel safe to express, right? Verbally talk with your partner. What do we want that contract to be, right? Do we want it to be more open or more conservative, right? How do we want our dynamic interplay to be played out in the dance? And the key to doing that is to discuss it first. I'm leading. No. This time you're leading. Here we go. Here we go, Campbell. You're gonna lead. I'm gonna follow.
Know that the night time, ooh, is the right time to be with the one you love. Nighttime